frenemies, or maybe just friends. Russian television showcases two world leaders meeting the moment. Europe and Ukraine are so last year. Hence the Russian foreign minister's somewhat derisive tone.
The
European philosophy hasn't gone anywhere, so I don't know what they would do at the negotiating table. If they're going to scheme with their cunning ideas about freezing the conflict, while actually intending, as is their custom, nature and habit, to continue the war, then why should we invite them at all?
The US Secretary of State landed in Saudi Arabia today for bilateral talks on neutral ground about improving the US-Russian relationship. A necessary prelude, according to the Trump administration, to negotiations aimed at bringing an end to the war in Ukraine.
I can tell you that Donald Trump is the only leader in the world that could potentially begin that process. Other leaders have tried. They have not been able to do so. When he ran in his campaign and he was elected as president, one of his promises was he would work to bring an end to this conflict in a way that's sustainable and fair.
Coincidentally, the Ukrainian president was next door in the United Arab Emirates, the first step on a tour of the Middle East to drum up support. He knows that President Putin will regard even preliminary talks without Ukraine in the room as a diplomatic victory.
Ukraine is not participating. Ukraine knew nothing about it. Ukraine regards any negotiations on Ukraine without Ukraine as negotiations with no result.
The Ukrainian foreign minister is at an arms fair in the UAE. Ukraine, Europe, and even President Trump's former advisors fear that Putin will easily get the better of a less experienced negotiator.
Well, he's certainly going to try to play President Trump. So I think, Putin is a great liar, a great deceiver, and I think it's very important to remind President Trump of that and to remind him of what Putin wants most of all, which I think is sanctions relief.
Remember President Trump's much vaunted summit with Kim Jong-un in Singapore in 2018. It ended up as the art of no deal. The North Koreans have since expanded their nuclear arsenal. President Biden has been blamed for America's ignominious retreat from Kabul and the chaos that ensued. But it was President Trump who said before negotiations started exactly when US troops would withdraw, thus undermining the Afghan government and signaling to the Taliban that all they had to do was wait. Today, President Xi Jinping was applauded by the titans of Chinese industry in the Great Hall of the People, and saying nothing about America, obeying the adage, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake.
China is fighting a proxy war using Russia to weaken the West, right? To divide Europe, to divide the United States from Europe, and to do so with a number of means, using Russia as a blunt instrument, but supporting various forms of political subversion, for example, and then using the coercive power of Chinese investments, for example.
On the front line, Ukrainian soldiers are reinforcing their defenses. Most agree with President Trump. This war needs to end. Several US officials have insisted that Ukraine's sovereignty will be preserved, and this must be an enduring peace. But the very public rapprochement between Presidents Trump and Putin and the undermining of European countries makes that hard for Ukrainians to believe.